It's that time of the year again. People are putting ashes on their foreheads, they're giving up sweets, they're not eating meat for 40 days. You're like, what's the deal with Lent? Let's talk about it. The season of Lent among Christians is a bit like that casserole that Aunt Helga always brings to the family gatherings. You know, the one that some people love and some people hate, and some people take a bite here and there because they think that's the right thing to do. Or is it? Lent has a mixed review among evangelicals. I think this has much to do with the deep roots of Puritanism in America. The Puritans throughout the church calendar, they wouldn't celebrate the classic holidays of Christmas and Easter. They felt that daily piety was more important than seasons of the year where we celebrate certain things. And so they threw out the celebrations of Advent and Lent and classical traditions of the church calendar. It partially goes back to the Protestant reformers who had a beef with. They protested many of the rituals and practices of the Catholic Church, where meanings were lost in the liturgy, where the ongoing need for penitence to a priest were eclipsing the forgiveness and the grace that Jesus offers. And so we find ourselves as evangelical Christians today, and we're finding a bit of resurgence of the church calendar. And many evangelicals are returning to practices like Lent. And Lent is a word that literally means 40 in the Latin and Greek. It's a season of 40 days that lead up to the celebration of Jesus' death and resurrection on Good Friday and Easter Sunday. Now, traditionally, it's a season of reflection, of remembering Jesus' suffering, and many practice the season of Lent by giving something up, whether it's sweets or meat or something else in their lives to perhaps, I think the tradition is to identify with Jesus and his sufferings. Well, I think some people aren't quite sure why they do it. So do we as evangelical Christians embrace the season of Lent, or do we not? And the answer is yes. Well, I think we approach the season of Lent like any other season of our lives. It can be a rich and meaningful season of spiritual reflection and even the practice of spiritual disciplines such as fasting and scriptural reflection and penitent prayer. These are all things that we would hope to be part of our ongoing Christian lives. And we all go through seasons where we focus on various aspects of the Christian life. And so I find it an appropriate and even meaningful season of the church calendar where we can set aside 40 days and remember Jesus' suffering, where we deeply immerse ourselves in the gospel narratives. I think that is a meaningful practice for us as evangelical Christians today. Can we get lost in the traditions? Of course we can, but that goes with any other spiritual discipline in our lives. And so whether you want to practice the traditional season of Lent, or whether you want to just focus on a specific thing for the next 40 days of your life, I think this is a meaningful season as we look forward to the celebration of Jesus' death and resurrection, that we remember our deep need for grace. Because that is what the season of Lent is about. It's a season of longing. It's a season of anticipating, in a sense of need. It's a sense of hunger, of craving for what the resurrection stands for us as Christians. The resurrection is our hope. And so the season of Lent, we begin with the classic mark on the forehead of that we are dust, and to dust we shall return. And part of the season of Lent is remembering our deep sinfulness, that to the core we are rebels. We are deceitful, and we had turned our back on God, and that we needed God to come and intervene in our lives. Lent is a meaningful season of remembering our deep need for grace. And Lent is a season where we celebrate that hope has come, that forgiveness has been given, and that we do have a future hope, that we look forward to the hope when our bodies will be resurrected with Jesus. It's my hope that the next few weeks on these videos we'll take a look at the gospel narratives of Jesus and remember why he came, and remember his suffering and his death, and his outpouring of love, the forgiveness that he offers, and the hope that he gives. And this is grace. And it's my hope that Lent would be a season that is full of Jesus's unmerited and unimaginable grace. There's a book that I'd recommend. It's called Reliving the Passion by Wanger. It's an imaginative walk through the footsteps of Jesus as he walks to Calvary and remembers our deep need for grace and the amazing outpouring of love that Jesus showed at the cross, and the amazing hope that we find in the resurrection. If you'd like to check out that resource, I'll put a link down in the description. In the next few weeks, on these videos, I invite you to come back and we'll take a look at a few different passages of the gospel narratives, and we'll reimagine together our deep need for grace. Well, thanks for watching, guys, and I hope that this season of Lent is a rich and meaningful one, however you celebrate it. And if you have questions or comments, I invite you to leave them down below. And if you haven't yet, subscribe to the channel and make new videos every Monday. And I'll see you next week.